Now we're going to take a look at the new measures nationwide to be introduced as announced by President Muhammadu Buhari. First, there will be an overnight curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. This means all movements will be prohibited during this period except for essential services. There will be a ban on non-essential interstate passenger travel until further notice. Partial and controlled interstate movement of goods and services will be allowed for those movements from producers to consumers, and strict enforcement of the mandatory use of face masks or coverings in public, in addition to maintaining physical distancing and personal hygiene. Furthermore, the restrictions on social and religious gatherings remain in place. State governments, corporate organizations, and philanthropists are encouraged to support the production of cloth masks for their citizens. Now, all these measures are expected to come into effect on Monday, the 4th of May. Now, joining me via Skype to take a look at these measures and indeed some of the other things that have happened is Dr. Bolanle Balogun, who is a public health physician. Good evening, Dr. Balogun, and thank you for your time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, quite a lot has happened in the last couple of hours. First of all, of course, we had the measures as unveiled by the president yesterday. And then today, quite a number of other developments have come up. The U.S. President Donald Trump promising to send ventilators to Nigeria. Then just a couple of minutes ago, the IMF approving Nigeria's $3.4 billion loan request. The National Assembly also approving 500 billion naira in COVID-19 support funds as well. Do you think all this is moves in the right direction, especially if they come through?
Thank you for your question. I would say yes. It's all going to work together for our good in the long run. You know, our president had to make a difficult decision to ease the lockdown. You know, he had to weigh the health of the populace vis-a-vis, the strain on the economy as a result of the lockdown. And then with the ongoing measures that are going to be in place, we're going to need the resources. We're going to need, more money to purchase more test kits. We're going to need more resources, even for active case search, which must go on. You know, testing must go on, contact tracing must go on. In fact, they must be intensified, as we go forward with easing the lockdown. So as many of these resources as we can get, as much collaboration as we can get at this time is something that is very welcome, I must say.
The presidential broadcast was carefully worded, well worded. In effect, what had happened was that the lockdown was extended by a week until Monday the 4th. During this period, what should we be doing? What should the authorities be using this time to do, this final 1 week before the gradual relaxation starts?
Yes, so I mean, the president has given us a guideline, and it's not left for every state government, to adapt it, to what would be meaningful and useful for their population, given the difference in sociocultural backgrounds that we have in the different zones in the country. But we need to address, certain things. Like the president rightly said, it should be gradual and should be phased out. So I think before we this 1 week that we have, I'm sure state governments are looking very closely, sort of like a micro planning, to look at things, to address even things before we ease the lockdown. So a lot of people are anxious about, going back, even though they were the ones clamoring for an end of the lockdown. So the guidelines that the state governments will put in place will help to ease, the anxiety of people, knowing that our government has, a plan for us. We also need to look at things about, transportation. Now we're saying people can, some essential, services can return back to work. We're going to allow some businesses to start. We have to ensure that people are safe when they, have to transport themselves, to and back from work. So there has to be a lot of engagement with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Ministry of Transportation, to ensure that all the right public health measures are put in place. And then even when people start work, every organization, no matter how small, has to have a guideline as to the minimum amount of public health measures that they need to put in place. Such things like no handshaking policy, ensuring that they have access to running water and soap, use of hand sanitizers. Some people can work from home or having, staggered, time at work. Okay, no, it doesn't mean we now start having our large meetings again. We can use technology that we have been using in the course of the lockdown. And the most important is even engagement with management, people, in charge of offices, association bodies, to ensure that we have their buy-in. Now is not the time to be stingy, with resources. We need to ensure that, the health of the workforce, the health of the communities are, protected and preserved.
Going ahead of what is that is currently happening, in many places, people are moving around, which is why I guess the issue of interstate travel comes in, because a lot of those who are infecting or who are passing around this infection, especially in the states that are getting new infections every day, are people moving from various states. You have persons from Lagos going to Ondo State, you have those from Kano going to Jigawa, and a number of others. But this is happening in spite of the fact that in some of those areas, they are under lockdown. So even if this is extended or there's a ban now placed on interstate travel, it will be an enforcement issue, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. It would. In fact, Nasarawa has reported his index case was someone who traveled from Kano, despite, an interstate travel ban. So enforcement is critical. Okay, who is manning, the borders? Who is ensuring, that people don't cross these borders? It's important that we look into this so that the gains that we have, so far from each state's lockdown, we will not now start to see, a reversal of our gains. So enforcement, I agree with you, is very critical.
Finally, before I let you go, Dr. Balogun, you mentioned earlier in the conversation, you talked about active case search. The lockdown in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State was supposed to be, facilitating this active case search, especially as we have now moved from the phase of imported cases to those being spread within the communities. Do you see that continuing within this period, and especially after the gradual relaxation of these measures is implemented?
Oh, yes, it is extremely vital, and it's even something that we need to ramp up, because as we all know, most of the cases are, either mild or asymptomatic. There are people walking around with the virus, spreading it, and they don't know. So we need to, and some are hiding, the symptoms that they have in their communities, in their homes. So we need to go closer to the communities to ensure that at least we have, and Lagos State has set a good example. We have, sample collections in 20 local governments, so that means that people can easily get their samples taken, and more people, can be tested. And with the drive, by NCDC to increase testing to 2 million, we need that now more than ever. Otherwise, we will not be able to test close to 2 million people within 3 months. So we must ramp up on active case searching all over the nation.
Dr. Balogun, thank you so much for your time on our program this evening. From Lekki in Lagos, Dr. Balogun joins us via Skype.
Thank you.